Play different roles, the wide variety of every and all kind of work. The more variety you get to do, the more fun it is. I guess that helps.
Oh, and Donald Duck.
Okay. Does Donald Duck use throat lozenges? No, that's a very tough voice. Tony Anselmo, who's the only animator that gets to do his own voice, he's a great animator. To do Donald, it's kind of tough. He kind of does a... But he kind of forces, he gave himself a hernia one year because he was like pushing, you know, we were mean. We were in the booth and we were saying, make him do it again, because he'd go, he'd bend over and make him do it again, you know. So it's tough for him, but he doesn't have to. He's the only one, we can get laryngitis and can't talk, and he can still do Donald, so that doesn't affect him at all.
I really like playing morally ambiguous characters. Playing evil is really fun, but I like I think that shows more of humanity instead of just being kind of like, you're either black or white. There's always the gray. I like the gray being shown. It's actually what I really like about Hellgirl, playing I in Hellgirl, because she is kind of like, you don't really know if she's totally evil, and then especially at the end when you kind of get her backstory, you really kind of feel for her and stuff. But yeah, I love playing morally ambiguous. It's so much more real.
Yes on ambiguous.
I would have to agree. I don't really like playing the super evil characters that you can't really get into. You can't really see out of their eyes, so it's difficult. I mean, it's not, you can do it. It's just not as much fun as morally ambiguous, or maybe even super moral, but in some ways despicable because of that. Like, if you look at Yuko in Holic, some of the things she does are extremely moral, but from the outside it's almost jarring why she's doing them and how she's doing them, how strict she is about the morals, and it makes her sort of mysterious. And I like any kind of layers that you can add onto a character just make them more interesting and fun to play. So yeah.
Me again. So, just questions for all of you. I asked voice actors in the past before. Do you actually, after recording and all that, do you actually go back and listen to your own voice and pick apart, like, your performance and all that, or do you just like record it and just forget about it?
Not at the time. Generally, when I do, especially with Goofy, they'll play back, maybe I'll do 3 or 4 different takes of the same line, like, "Gosh, Mickey, let's go. Gosh, Mickey, come on, let's go." Or if Mickey's closer, "Come on, Mickey, let's go." You have to adjust the acting to whatever the situation is. And a lot of times they'll play it back in the booth, but not for us, just to check the technical aspects. Did I, pop a P where it would, that they have to take out or re-record it for some reason. So I hear a lot of the takes, but a lot of times until you see the game or television show or movie or whatever, you have no idea what takes they're going to use. And so most of the time, the first time I really see it is with everybody else.
It was really hard for me at first, hearing my own voice. It kind of freaked me out, and I was very critical of it, and I thought everything I did sounded awful, which when I first started it probably did. But I've gotten a lot more used to it. Now what I have difficulty doing is going back and being able to just watch something that I've directed. I'm a lot more critical on that aspect, especially when I go back and watch my very early stuff. Like, I directed all of School Rumble. When I watched the first volume of School Rumble, like the first 4 episodes, I think like, oh, I could have done that so much better. But yeah, that's about it.
It really comes to life when you get to not just hear it back, it comes to life when you see your voice coming out of the cartoon character. So ultimately, most of the time, when I record these different cartoons, I mean, it's different than anime, because it's ADR, which I've done as well. But what you do is you get the script, you record all your lines with the cast there, and then it could take from 2 months to 8 months for the animations to come back. And then once you finally get the animations back with your voice, this world becomes real. And then from that point on, once that world really becomes materialized, then that's, for me, that's when the deepest connection happens with you and your part in that world. So it's cool, yeah. I'm hearing it back, seeing it with the voice in there. It's always a cool thing, and it really helps us, I feel, as actors to connect with the part.
I guess I didn't think about that. Yeah, doing a lot of dub work, we do get to see our characters right away, instant gratification. So I didn't think of that. But yeah, we'll see a whole scene once it's been recorded, just to make sure that we're staying consistent all the way through an episode. But the only time I really watch episodes after the fact, after they've come out on DVD, because honestly I've seen them so many times by then, the only time I really watch the completed episode is when I know that I'm going to be doing more of that character and it's a voice that's difficult to maintain. If you look at like Shin-Chan, I think you get that over here. Shin-Chan is I play a little gay boy, and his voice has kind of migrated north. He started out, let's see, he ended up with...
Oh, he talks up here, and that's sort of where he lives, and it's a lot of fun, but I think it started off a little bit more down here, and he wasn't quite so gay.
And I think it got up to where he needed to be, but now I don't want him to drift any further, and I don't want him to go back all of a sudden, so I'm a lot more careful to watch him consistently, make sure that it's going to stay the same. And stuff. Do we have other questions? Do we have any other questions?
For those of you who've worked in anime particularly, have you ever gone back and read the manga or the comic of the series that you've voiced over?
I don't. I don't specifically because I don't want the manga to inform what I'm doing with the animation. I think sometimes the animators drift from the manga for a reason, and I know fans don't always love that, but I know they do it for a reason, and since it's my job to voice the animation, direct the animation, produce that animation, I don't want it to change because of something that I read in the manga when that's not what they were intending. So I tend not to, although I'm very curious about the Fullmetal Alchemist manga. I love it when people tell me tidbits.
The same with me. I think I've only read one manga, and it was Nadame Cantabile, and Caitlin Glass, who actually plays Winry in Fullmetal Alchemist, just randomly gave it to me because it just as a gift, because it was just like, she said, it's just like School Rumble, but in a music school, so it's like totally for you. So I really liked reading that, and I found out later that that's actually an anime, but I don't know if anyone has licensed it or anything, so that if we did end up licensing it and I worked on it, that would have been the only thing that I would have read first.
I enjoy connecting with all of it. Yeah, if it's a manga, if it's there, like, would you consider Teen Titans comic books? Yeah. Well, nonetheless.
Same premise.
Yeah, same premise. Yeah, I'm into. It's enjoyable. It's like another dimension of the reality that I'm a part of, so I enjoy connecting with it.
I forgot to mention that I'm actually illiterate, too. I can't read. That's why I haven't read it. Any other questions?
Have you guys ever worked sick? Like had something like a sore throat or a cold and had to be like, hey, Bill, come in and...
Yeah, over enough years, you're going to come in with a cold once in a while, and I've had to scrub a couple of sessions, only about 2 or 3 in my whole 20-some-year career, for being sick. Generally, I can work through it, and sometimes if I have a cold and I'm kind of sounding a little bit like this, it works. I can still do Goofy or something like that. Or sometimes if it's like a one-day thing where I'm just doing a game, I can just incorporate that, and I just have, I can be more of a kind of a rough and gruff character than I would be otherwise. But if I ever had to do it again, I might not be able to. So I have definitely had to work sick on a few days.